Widowspeak, the Jacket album review. Let's chat about it. Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning here tonight to chat about this latest album from Widowspeak. They are a Brooklyn-based band. They've been at it for a few years now, and over the years, their style has been kind of hard to narrow down to just one genre. But I will say this, at the time, I kind of was unaware of their debut album, that it even came out. It flew under my radar in a big way, and I didn't get onto it until maybe the next year or so, but I think it goes underappreciated. It has a lot of elements of very hazy shoegaze and dream pop, but also has this sort of very heartfelt indie rock feel, all nestled up with this very sort of rustic, classic vintage pop production. It has also been lovingly referred to as a cowboy pop album, which I get, and trust me, the more southern sounding tracks on there are some of my favorite. And while not as impactful, I thought their follow-up album, Almanac, had a lot going for it. But for a while, what happened to this band? 2015's All Yours was a fraction of how interesting and just how multi-genred this band was at first, and just way too spacey for my liking. I mean, 2017's Expect the Best certainly had a lot more good moments on it. Hell, some of the band's best tracks are on there, like Dog. It's just been really hard to keep track of this band, and their follow-up album, Plum, this was really rough. I mean, tracks like Even True Love were pretty good, but so many of the tracks on this album just flew right past, didn't stop me in my tracks at all. And for a while, I've heard the new singles kind of pile up for this new album, and I wasn't really into them. I didn't think they were, packing enough punch, trying something new for 2022. But I've come around to a lot of them, and as a matter of fact, a lot of this album's really good. While You Wait is a really lovely start. I love just how breezy this instrumental is. The woodwinds that we get here are super classy. It's really light on the ears, and it's just a really nice start. It's just so carefree, laid back. Even lyrically, it's just very, it's just very carefree. A lot of this album is. Honestly, I can't be in a bad mood listening to this track, even though they've really stirred away quite a bit from the early sort of rustic vintage pop production they were going with. But it's sweet, it's blissful, and I can't be in a bad mood with this. I love the bluesy, stripped down vibes of Everything Is Simple. In a lot of ways, stylistically, this is the band pressing the hard reset button. This is them going back to the sound of their first album, despite the production being a lot cleaner. But still, I just want to cozy up to this track and cuddle up. It's enchanting, it's intoxicating, but on top of that, this is far from just another breezy, breathy dream pop tune. There's actually some drama to this track, like the hypnotic piano line that we get here, and the blurry-eyed guitars that just sort of appear and reappear. There's a shocking amount of really good material on this album. Salt is really good too. This one takes me back, and I'm glad to hear that they, haven't completely given up on that sort of cowboy pop thing they were doing years ago. This is upbeat again. Once again, it's breezy. Guess what? This is a very breezy album. And honestly, this may be one of the most straightforward tracks here, but I think that's what makes it so good. This kind of comes off as like a really, really good cover. And this album's title track, The Jacket, it was the one single that I kind of liked to begin with, and I think it's only grown on me ever since. I love just how lonely this riff sounds. Once again, this is a very bluesy album, and this is a very bluesy track. It's gloomy. It's even a little sexy at parts, too. And no, this isn't reinventing the wheel for Widowspeak. This isn't anything like really exciting or wild or eventful in their discography, but they are doing this so good. It reminds me of what I liked about them in the first place. Unwind is really good, too. I didn't like it at first, but it's grown on me a lot. It's jazzy, it's bluesy, it's almost got like a lounge vibe to it. And truthfully, those are all things that I love in my dream pop. Also, the vocal performance here is one of the most hypnotic on this entire album. Now, two things. One, like I said, this isn't like a big, gigantic leap for the band. This isn't like stylistically anything wildly new. They're just taking things back to basics and doing it really well. Which at the end of the day maybe lessens my thoughts on this album as a whole as a little bit. But there's also a few tracks on here that venture into a more faceless territory. True Blue is certainly not my favorite track here. It's one of the more uneventful ones. The instrumental here specifically, this is one of the ones that does not move me at all. And it sucks because I actually think like some of the vocal lines are really great, especially this chorus. This chorus is easily the most passionate one here. But the verses don't make for anything interesting in between that and a really lukewarm instrumental. It's one of my least favorite tracks here. And Sleeper as a finale is also on the more faceless side. Like I said, one of my biggest critiques about this album, as far as, stylistically goes, they don't really push themselves that. And it is more apparent on Sleeper than any other track on this entire album. This is kind of just like where I thought they'd be in 2022, and it's just not very exciting. But outside of that, color me surprised. This is a really pleasant album. The drive is really nice, no pun intended. This just makes me want to get on the road and enjoy myself with my friends. And I don't want to be that guy just saying every track is so carefree and nice on the ears, but hey, this is. Not to say that this album is not gloomy, even though it is very breezy and carefree. Lyrically, this album often is very sad, very tragic, very lonely. With Slow Dance, you kind of know what you're getting by now, but I don't think that's a bad thing. This is just another really great track. Love the dreamy rhythms. I love the sweet vocals, this very intoxicating atmosphere. It's very simple, it's very obvious, and Forget It is great as well. I mean, clearly, there is a Mazzy Star influence throughout this entire album, but I think it's done pretty tasteful. But like on tracks like this, when there is an interlap between, the dreamy vocals and this lapping guitar riff and these hazy rhythms, it is pretty euphoric. Yeah, I didn't expect to like this album at all. As a matter of fact, hearing a lot of the singles leading up to this, I thought it was just going to be another Widowspeak album that I shrugged off of. And no, this isn't wildly anything new in their discography. This isn't like a big leap stylistically. But what this is Widowspeak going back to basics and doing what they do best, and doing it in a really intoxicating and dreamy and just really easy to take in way. It's very gloomy, it's very bluesy at times, but it's also very carefree, just pleasant to have on, and I don't know, I needed that right now. I'm feeling a light 8 on this album, but let me know what you guys think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, guys.